In this lesson, we will cover some research on using mindfulness to release stress and even pain. We talked earlier about the MBSR, you might recall mindfulness-based stress reduction program implemented by Dr. John Kabat-Zinn that helped thousands of people. This time, we are going to cover a famous and yet little known work by John Sorno, his research and practical work on releasing pain. Although Dr. Sorno developed this research, he didn't think about nor connected with mindfulness. But I strongly believe there is a huge connection of being mindful in the moment, that being mindful in the moment can help us release stress and even pain. Now, here's the disclaimer. If you have any pain, physical, emotional, or otherwise, immediately see your doctor. This small section is really not meant to be self-healing, nor do I suggest that you follow or try to help yourself if in pain. This is rather information based on the research by Dr. John Sorno and others, and my own personal experience. So let's just use it as a lecture and see if it could help some people. Good. So now that we have all the disclaimer, let's talk about what I call stopping the pain. As crazy as it sounds, most of the pain that we experience may not be the real physical pain that we perceive, but rather a signal transmitted by the body, by the brain to the body, followed by a signal from the brain back to the body, announcing that we are experiencing pain. So it's basically a signal transmitted by the body to the brain, and then followed by a signal from the brain back to the body saying, hey, you are in pain. Believe it or not, you can learn to stop your pain by effectively what I call talking to your brain, and in the process trying to overwrite those signals between the body and the brain. So there is a signal between body and the brain. Now, in 1992, my wife and I came to the United States on a business trip. War started back in our country and we couldn't go back home. To survive, I started working as a messenger, making $50 a day, bringing home $800 as my monthly income. In some lucky months, my wife would work as a cleaning lady and bring a few more $100 a month. The rent was $650. We survived, but that's not the point of the story. That year, I had a terrible backache. I was not carrying anything heavy. I was on my feet most of the day, but full of physical energy, walking around and doing my job. I couldn't figure out what caused it, but I was in terrible pain. I had no insurance and no money to go and see the doctor. The pain was getting worse and worse. I didn't want to tell this to anybody. I knew I had to work to survive, and I kept going. Day after day, month after month. One of my colleagues recommends that I go and see the chiropractor in the neighborhood. He told me that she's a great person and will work out some kind of financial deal with me. I knew nothing about the practice of chiropractors. Now we're talking, years ago, and past today, we probably have a little bit different approach and view. But back then, I knew nothing about it. Never heard of such kind of doctors until that point. But I went to see her anyway. After spending few sessions with this beautiful lady, I truly believed that she will help me. And she did. The pain was gone in few months, and it never came back. I didn't think of it until recently. I started reading research by Dr. John Sorno and others. So based on their research, when we suppress our emotions, the pain has to come out somewhere, and usually it comes out on our back. When we suppress our emotions, the pain has to come out somewhere, and usually comes out on our back. So that's exactly what happened to me. After having a truly wonderful life, a big business, great money, house, vacation home, and money to do almost anything I wanted to do, I had to start from scratch all over again. I guess I just couldn't get over that. I'm starting a new life from the beginning, that we lost everything we had, that we need to learn new language to survive, that we had to think, how to provide food and shelter to ourselves and our son. Unthinkable, and yet had to be done. Even now, when I think about it, just bring the goosebumps and all these feelings back. And back then, I couldn't be in the present moment. I didn't allow myself to be mindful at all. My thoughts were going back and forth between the great past and possibly a really bad future. I had no time for emotions. I had to be strong. I had to survive. And my emotional pain had to come out somewhere. And it did, in the form of backache. And it's funny, I just said I had to survive. And I remember back then we lived in Brooklyn. And there's actually a great t-shirt you can probably find now. It says, "Brooklyn, only the strongest survive." So I guess I am proud to say I was one of the strongest. Anyway, back to the class. When I started being mindful, and in this case, believing that the pain will be gone, not just accepting, as many mindful techniques actually will teach us, right? But the pain then started to disappear. Physical exercise by the chiropractor certainly helped, but it was me who believed that the pain will be gone. It was me, I believe, who got rid of the pain. Now, here's another example how I mindfully handle pain. During the first eye laser surgery 5 years ago, although they told me it is nothing and I will have no pain, I felt a lot of pain. Anytime the doctor would use the laser, because of the terrible pain I felt, I would move head to the point the doctor told me, if you keep doing this, he may hurt my eyes and make it worse. So I started worrying. Then the second eye surgery came. And the second eye surgery happened after I read and studied all the research by Dr. John Sorno. So before I put my eyes on that instrument, I made it ready for the surgery. I was so mindful in the moment, the entire surgery. Told myself, I know this is interesting, I told myself this will be fun. I convinced my brain that I will have no pain. The first time the laser hit my eyes, it pinched me. I said to myself, I don't feel it. This is great. Go pinch me again so we can get over it. The next time the laser hit my eyes, I wasn't even sure it was a pinch at all. When third time the laser hit my eye and doctor announced it, I couldn't believe that procedure was over. The doctor also asked me how it went. I explained the process I was going through this time and how I prepared myself to the second surgery. My beliefs that this time the laser will not hurt my eye helped me to endure the procedure. The doctor listened carefully and told me that he just loves my story and will share it with his patients. If we have more people do this, not only we are going to have patients who experience the eye surgery as fun, but also we, the doctors, he said, will be much more successful in our practice. And the patients will experience much better outcome. At the end, the doctor said, thank you for sharing this mindfulness technique with me. As you can see, there are many ways we can learn to help ourselves once we start practicing being in the moment instead of keep rejecting it. Hope this lecture will help you possibly to prepare some of the unwanted things and events in your life. And I will see you in the next lecture.